The Marksmanship talent changes feel amazing, and Dark Ranger only makes the Spec play even better. With the tuning and slight reworks to talents and spells that Marksmanship is getting, the Spec looks to be way more fun in the upcoming 11.05 patch, so let's look at what will be different. We will start with the noteworthy change for the class tree. Improved Kill Shot has been replaced with a basic version of Death Blow. Now, your aim shot has a 10% chance to reset the cooldown of Kill Shot and make it usable on any target regardless of their current health bar situation. The improved Kill Shot has been moved to the actual old Death Blow talent that Marksmanship had, which is now called Improved Death Blow. It essentially makes aimed shot have a 15% chance and rapid fire 25% chance to give you Death Blow, and the crit damage of Kill Shot is increased by 25%. Likely the biggest reason for this change is because of the Dark Ranger rework. We covered a whole set of talents on our Beast Mastery video, which you can check after this one, so now I will just quickly talk about what the differences are with Marksmanship. First of all, Black Arrow will now replace your Kill Shot, and because of that, Death Blow will be a much bigger part of your kit, considering there are a bunch of talents in the Dark Ranger tree that grant you Death Blow under different circumstances. What will be interesting to see is how the builds change for Dark Ranger in Mythic Plus. Raids already use the Death Blow talent column, but not as much in dungeons. With Black Arrow, it feels like a loss to not take these talents, considering Black Arrow hits like a truck now and is a big part of your overall damage. That remains to be seen when the sims and final numbers are in. Until then, know that pressing Black Arrow feels fucking amazing, deals a lot of damage, and has a bunch of tech behind it in the hero talent. One such tech is Bleak Powder, which makes Black Arrow explode in AoE damage if you fire it with trick shots up. This changes the gameplay a bit if you are used to weaving in multi-shots in between each aim shot and rapid fire. There are two main considerations I have noticed with some limited PTR testing. First is that if your Black Arrow is available to cast, you have to start with a multi-shot first, while throughout your rotation you will always cast multi-shot into Black Arrow and then an aim shot or rapid fire, so the weaving is not as consistent anymore. On one hand, it adds a bit of variety to your gameplay, forcing you to react to all of your Death Blow procs. On the other one, you will have to get used to not insta-consume trick shots, and that, at least for me, made it so I fired Black Arrows without trick shots, or was forcing me to use a multi-shot with no aim shot or rapid fire available, just to make sure that Black Arrow will cleave with Bleak Powder. This is a minor thing, but something you will likely notice. Secondly, volley is also a question. It's a word, but still, you probably don't want to fire Black Arrow during volley. So if both are ready, you might have to fire a multi-shot first to cleave your Black Arrow, with trick shots still remaining unconsumed, and then go into volley, or hold Black Arrow, which is likely a big mistake, and fire it after volley. Considering that Death Blow will have a chance to proc while Black Arrow is available, you will likely be pushed to always prioritize Black Arrow above all else, and in AoE just below multi-shot. The change in priority is definitely interesting for a spec that has had a very consistent rotation for a bunch of expansions in a row. Having an ability that's more important than aim shot feels fresh. You could say the same for the baseline Kill Shot, but really, it's a whole different world between it and Black Arrow. That alone makes the hero talent so much more interesting. That and Withering Fire. This makes it so during True Shot, if you gain Death Blow, you fire Black Arrows at your target and to adjacent enemies at 50% of the damage. It's passive for sure, but does also imply that you will want to cast Black Arrow during True Shot as well. This might not be that surprising, but it takes True Shot from a cast as many aimed shots and rapid fires as possible while ignoring as much of the other stuff as possible to, hey, check this new ability and try to find a place for it somewhere. I only tested it for a short while, so not sure how it will feel to have dozens of hours of Dark Ranger gameplay, as in whether it becomes really interesting or annoying remains to be seen. But at the very least, Dark Ranger adds more depth and interesting changes to the rotation. And now for the Spec talent changes, which I already mentioned, the death blow changes. But starting from the top, Precise Shots has received the first of a bunch of improvement style changes. It will now only affect one cast of Arcane Shot or Multi-Shot, or Chimera Shot if anybody uses it still, but buff them by 100% instead. This makes it so that there are fewer globals spent on focused consumers like Arcane Shot, since before you only really casted one multi-shot anyway, if I'm not mistaken, and likely compensate for Dark Ranger shoving more globals into your rotation as an exchange. Similarly, improved Steady Shot will now generate 10 more focus, and together with Steady Focus, that makes it only require one cast for the haste buff and the full focus generation, but will once again reduce the non-important globals that you have to fit into your rotation. Although I do have to say, the double Steady Shot weave was interesting in an otherwise very static rotation, but there were situations where it felt like forever to cast two of them in a fast-paced rotation like Marksmanship. Not to mention that the focus change was likely to synergize with Steady Focus, since casting two shots for the buff gave you two influxes of focus. Casting one would only give you one instance of said focus, but doubling that instance would make it so that you wouldn't end up casting one Steady Shot for the buff and then needing an extra one for the focus. And this is just in theory. There still are, or at least feel like there are, some issues with focus generation and focus uptime where you end up casting some wasteful globals. Maybe that's just the low gear that I had going into the PTR, or maybe that's just a real concern when it comes to focus management that hopefully devs are looking at. Testing it on the PTR even without the improved Steady Shot felt really nice in the end though. And that's because Pincushion is a new talent that you may actually come to use as a choice node with improved Steady Shot. This makes it so that your aim shot has its cooldown reduced by 2 seconds every time you cast Steady Shot. Now, will this make you still want to cast more than one Steady Shot at a time for the cooldown reduction? Will this offset haste requirements for gear to some extent with you having a shorter cooldown overall on aim shot? How will it all translate into focus management once again? Although the talents may seem simple, they can have some layers of depth at first glance. Eagle Talent's True Focus has been removed, and the focus discount it offered baked into True Shot baseline, opening up a talent point for you. With that being said, the extra 3 seconds of True Shot is really a DPS loss, on top of those extra 3 seconds of also being under Unerring Vision as a buff. I would imagine the argument is that you gain that damage back from the extra talent point you free up. But I can also see how that is still a bittersweet change for losing something to gain something instead of just gaining something, period. This is of course arguing about numbers, which are always subject to change, so let's hope that the tuning follows suit, and when these changes come to the live servers, the bittersweet taste will just be some glorious diabetes-worthy honey taste. Calling the shots is now a capstone as well, essentially trading places with Unerring Vision. I'm not 100% sure why these had to be moved around, and the only thing that really could make sense is that calling the shot has just way more power baked into it, worthy of being capstone status. There might be other issues that could be fixed within the Marksmanship talent tree, but as of playing the new Dark Ranger Marksman, which is really what everyone wanted to do before they even realized it sucked, actually made Marksmanship feel fresh, like an actual sniper, and the Black Arrow started to really fulfill my Dark Ranger fantasy. The changes so far are already incredible, all things considered, even if they feel a bit late for what was advertised to be the unofficial poster child of the hero talents. Dark Ranger is taking major strides to becoming more interesting, and not only is it more interesting already, it feels amazing to play compared to before, and definitely better than Sentinel for sure. And we specifically didn't want to fill the video with the same discussions about Dark Ranger that we had in our Beast Mastery video. So if you want to check all of those changes that come to it, check our BM video out. All of the talents are the same for marksmanship pretty much, with the odd exceptions that we already covered in this video.